I'm Karen, and I'm here with Kelly answering your grief question. So remember, we're putting these videos out twice a week and sometimes very specific to the times of year. So you're going to find that they change maybe with the season. So you're going to want to keep up with that. You can do that by hitting the subscribe button and also liking our videos along the way. That'll help you continue to get the content to stay on top of that. So, Kelly, we do have a question that is a seasonal one today, which is why I mentioned it. But the question is, how do I support my children in celebrating Halloween while dealing with my own grief?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is fall season and the beginning of the holidays, and Halloween is a big one for a lot of people. For some, it's their favorite, holiday. And but there's also can be pretty triggering.
Yeah.
Most of Halloween is focused on death. And skeletons and ghosts and zombies and all sorts of things. And so it can be pretty triggering. And I hear from a lot of clients that loved Halloween before may not like it as much anymore because of what it represents. But kids, they're going to be exposed to Halloween. And even though they're grieving, they may still want to participate in trick or treating or going to their Halloween parties or whatever it is. And so I think it's really about talking to your child about what they want. How are they feeling about Halloween? Are they worried about anything? Having good communication with their kids about this holiday and how it may impact their grief is, I think, really the first step, is making sure that they want to still trick or treat, that they still want to go dressed up. Maybe they want to dress up as something different than they normally would because of their grief. And then it's also about taking care of yourself, right? Maybe Halloween was a big party time for you and your spouse. Maybe that died. And maybe you dressed up as a couple costume and went to a party together. But I think it's, again, just like really any holiday, which we'll be spending a lot of time talking about in the next couple of months, is you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
Maybe this year you skip Halloween and that's okay. Maybe you do as normal and that's okay. It's about finding what works for you. And I can't say, I don't think there's a clear cut answer because it's really individualized, just like grief is individualized. So you have to do what's best for you. And, being able to acknowledge that maybe this year's really hard and you're not okay with all the decorations and you just want to avoid it this year.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
also have to be mindful of how can you support your child if they still do want to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I hear from parents a lot is that they're just struggling so much to know if their kid's okay. Because of
Mm.
course that's going to be the top priority with everything. And it's so hard to know, like if they're being quiet or, is that kind of normal or sometimes actually what I hear a lot is that like he seems to be doing okay, but he can't possibly be okay. So, and I imagine when it centers around a holiday that is so much fun and is such a kid's holiday anyway, that this one would be extra difficult because you could see how a parent would maybe want to just skip it, but the kid's not going to want to, or is going to feel pressured not to, because friends and things like that are talking about it. So how do you handle that if like there's such a difference between what people in a family are feeling, or even if you have multiple children who want different things?
Well, I had a couple of years ago, I had a mom that had a child die. And so the siblings still wanted to celebrate Halloween. And so that mom asked somebody to take them trick or treating. They
Oh,
went with their friends instead. They changed up their routine a little bit. Maybe they went to a different neighborhood to go trick or treating. There was a couple of different things that they did to make it a little more manageable for mom. And I think that's the case, is how do you need to maybe ask somebody to take them? Maybe they need to go with a friend trick or treating if you don't feel like it. Maybe you don't turn on your light on your porch and you don't
yeah,
have candy. That's okay to do as well, because you can't handle it this year. But um, I think it's about doing what you can for yourself. And if you don't have somebody that can take your kid, maybe you change it up and you do go to a different neighborhood, or maybe you go to a trunk and treat, and that's a little easier than has a lot of the reminders maybe from the past.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea because that is, I think, relatively newer compared to like maybe what we would have grown up doing, or what a parent would have grown up doing. So yeah, I mean, I think that's always good advice, is just to do something a little bit different. It's going to be different anyway. And sometimes when we try to like force traditions, or I think there can be a temptation to just want to keep some things normal, or to
Mhm.
keep things the way they've always been. But that does seem to highlight the differences even more, I think, or has the potential to. Everybody's different. People find a lot of comfort in rituals and traditions, and so you have to kind of really listen to yourself. But I think, just discussions among the family is probably going to be the most important part with anything, you
I
know.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Yep.
Yeah. So, Kelly, so this is a question, in terms of like, how do you support your children while celebrating, that they're wanting to celebrate Halloween, you're trying to take care of yourself. What's like a takeaway thought for that?
Well, first, like you just said, we need to ask the kids what they want, involve them in their plans for Halloween. What do they want to do? And then you have to look at yourself and think about, how do I need to take care of myself? Do I need to change the traditions that we usually do? Do I need to ask for some extra support and have someone else take my child trick or treating? Do I need to think about costumes and whether I want to participate or not? So, really thinking about what you need to do for yourself. How can you take care of yourself? And if you want to skip Halloween, but your kids don't, make a plan. So then that's possible.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thank you, Kelly.
Right. Thank you.